Hello, hello. We should now be live on YouTube. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody watching. This is another one of my designer interviews. I'm Peter, creator and lead designer of Tales from Elsewhere, but if you're watching this video, you probably know that. And I have today a buddy of mine who I've been talking to for the last couple of years, one of the first indie designers I actually connected with when I started getting out there and talking with people. And he has been working on a very cool rules light surreal game. And today I have him on here because I want to talk to you all about not only the coolness of his product, but how he went about creating his public facing beta and the way he approached his artwork. So I have my buddy Wiley. So Wiley is here. He is a creator of a game called Neuro Shell, and I'm gonna have him introduce himself. But in the chat, as always, if you all have questions for me, for Wiley at any point, please ask them. Of course, there's a YouTube delay, but this is not a formal interview where there's a list of prescribed questions we have to get through. If you have questions, please let us know. So Wiley, why don't you just introduce yourself real quick, and we'll hop into this chat.
Yeah, I am Wiley. I have been making games for honestly as long as I can remember, but it was only recently that I started taking it a little bit more seriously, even after I started working on NeuroShell. When I started working on NeuroShell, it was just for me and my friends to play and kind of just messing around with it. I hadn't even ever played a tabletop role-playing game before
Yeah.
when I started this project. And Peter was, you were like one of the first people I even talked to within the TTRPG space.
Yeah,
It's kind of just funny
kids like
how
you
it
make me
worked out.
look bad. You come into this space, you haven't played for 30 years, and you make these awesome games, and who do you think you are?
Yeah, and so before all this though, I was working in architecture, and I was like, oh, I don't like this industry. Um, I mean, some parts of it are great, but
I get you.
I
I get you on
a
that.
little bit disenchanted.
Yeah, well, I mean, the funny origin of us meeting and becoming friends was, we were talking at the big design server that most people watching this video are aware of, and we realized we lived like 15 minutes from each other, just sort of
Yeah,
inadvertently. At the time, you were living, yeah, just literally 10-15 minute drive from where I was, which was really funny. Just some people, the way people talk about their lives, reveals things about them,
yeah, we
which
were
is really
talking about
funny.
like traffic in our commute.
Yeah,
So
yeah, traffic and commute. Like this guy's in Southern California.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your game, and I'm going to pitch you your game back to you. I have run a session of your game, and I think it is very unique. There aren't a ton of games like this out there in the space. There's a handful of inspirations, of course, we've talked to. The buzzword pitch of your game is Disco Elysium, the game, the
Yeah.
tabletop role playing game. But that's an oversimplification, I think, because Disco Elysium is definitely a touch point, but it's more than that. It's a more versatile game structure than just like attempting to tell the specific noir story of Disco Elysium. So the way the game works is all of the players are in control of a single person, kind of like, for those who are familiar, everyone is John. But they're all the fragmented pieces of that one person's amnesiac mind, so that you are there not just to solve the mystery of whatever the session is about, but to solve who you are. And it's a really fun experience of improvisation and discovery, because the mechanics start giving the players clues as they roll dice as to who they might be as they poke the edges of their world. And so the session I ran, which I'm honored is included in one of the session inspirations in the book,
Yeah.
the players all wake up and think they're Superman because they realize they have super strength, they start realizing they can fly, all these really cool things. But slowly it comes to light that they're not Superman, they're Bizarro. And
Right.
the mechanics of that game allowed me to tell the story of their mind unraveling mechanically. Like their, like their attributes basically started draining in strange ways. Like, oh, what is going on? We're we're not having a good time, as they slowly
Yeah.
start to realize that they're the imperfect clone of Superman, and so it's very cool in that way, telling very unique, asymmetrical, strange, surreal, kind of dreamlike also stories in that way,
Oh
or
yeah.
just really mundane stuff like what is it, drunk dad at Christmas or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of the pitch of the game. It's very rules light. I think the rules are like on one page probably. I think at this point.
Yeah, they started on one page. It was initially designed as a trifold pamphlet, and
Right.
all the rules could have been on a page, but I like to space things out a little bit, make it cleaner front and back. And in the final book, technically it's on 2 pages, but it's one spread, and those pages are A5, so
Yeah.
it's still basically a page.
I've come to really like
Um,
the A5 size in recent years. I've started picking up more A5 size books. I'm from the old guard of like I like my big chunky D&D tomes, but A5 is just so nice for like convention play, for taking it to the game store real quick and like showing people the game. It's the perfect choice I think for a game like Neuro Shell where you don't need a tome, right,
yeah, yeah,
to
just
play the
slip it in your
game.
backpack.
Yeah. I just want to
Uh,
say hello to. We got a lot of people in the chat. Hey, Ugly Goblin. Oh, super cool for you to come hang out, my friend. Ugly Goblin's another RPG YouTuber. Really cool guy, and I got a chance to play his game actually a while
cool.
ago, and it's also super cool that he's
Hello,
working on.
everyone.
Yeah, hello. Somebody had asked a question earlier. What is Neuro Shell? Which is what we were answering here. So yeah, it's a very cool game, and the reason why not only did I want to just talk to you publicly about the game because I think it's cool, but I think we can look at your layout design and use of stock art or public domain art. It doesn't look like it's a public domain booklet, right? But much of the art is in the public domain with some amount of attribution. So I think that'll be very cool for us to look at. And before we segue into that, just letting y'all know, there's a link to the trailer that Wiley put together for the release of his beta that'll be in the description here. And I believe in the description of that video is a link to get access to the beta. Is that correct?
Yes,
It's
there's a link
on.
to the website, Rule It Games. Um, Somebody pointed out something to me the other day, which is like, oh, there is a free edition on there that's like it's just the trifold and like
Hmm.
a black and white scratched out version of the book. And it's playable. It's playable, the free edition. But
Yeah,
somebody was like, oh, I don't want to have to put in all my information for a free edition.
right.
It's run through Shopify, right? It's all automated. So it's like, oh
Yeah,
well, I am going to be uploading the free edition to
an
itch
itch page.
today
Okay,
and drive through RPG as soon as I get some approval that I need. But
right.
so they will be on other sites as well. Um,
And the
yeah,
beta, remind me, is the beta pay what you want, or is it a flat fee? I forget. Because it's, when we say
so
beta, you guys will see it's not just like a Google Doc. Like it's a full
yeah,
product. It's a complete game, actually, when we say beta.
yeah, it is a complete playable game filled with art. It's 80 pages right now, planned to be many more, and you do pay for that version, but if you buy that, you will get all subsequent
Gotcha.
PDFs of it,
Yeah, it's like an
including
early
when it,
release almost.
yeah, it's like an early access.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a
Um,
substantive. Yeah, it's not like my original beta, which was hideous. It's a very good looking product. Yeah, but you can try it out, and Wiley also does have a Discord server where sessions can be run as well. Wiley's in my Discord server, so if you need to track him down after this, you could just ping him in
yeah,
there. Like he's around.
it's really easy to find me. My name on Discord is Wiley.
Wiley, yeah, he's an easy bloke to track down. So what I'm gonna do, for me, the real secret. This is whispering Wisp here. The real secret is that the A5 often has matching Game Master screens at a more reasonable height for more modern play. Oh, that's
Ooh.
interesting. So that, yeah, not the an A5 height sheet is not as tall. Is that kind of what you're talking about there, Wisp? Like, we don't need these giant ones to block our vision. Well, and in a game like NeuroShell, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't roll a ton anyway. Like you're not doing secret rolls like you would
Oh
in,
yeah,
yeah. Like does the GM doesn't, or the mastermind doesn't
the Game
roll?
Master doesn't roll
Yeah, they
anything.
don't roll at all
Um,
anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, there may be like, sometimes as a game master, something comes up and you're like, oh, I don't know who to do this to, and you roll it for your
Right,
own sake.
yeah.
But there's nothing in the rules about the game master rolling. It's
Yeah.
all players rolling, and it's very open-ended as to how that even
Right.
happens.
I think that was a smart choice. We can that'd be an interesting subsequent talk down the road. Get maybe a couple people on here to talk about uh, why make the GM roll and what the value of that is, and the value of not having them roll, because there's reasons to do either, right? But this was the right choice, I think, for your game, definitely. You're juggling a lot when you're the mastermind in Neuro Shell. Like, you want to keep a lot in your brain to
Yeah.
to keep the momentum moving and keep the mystery running, and not having to like fidget with dice was helpful when I ran it, right?
Mm.
So I found that helpful myself, because there's a lot you got to manage. Just
Yeah.
catching up here on comments. Pirate Borg GM screen is A5 and looks really good. I mean, Pirate Borg product just seems like they made the right choices across the board. I love systems where I don't have to roll as the GM. Yeah, it's again, I don't want to spend too much of our time on this, but I do like talking about it because it's interesting. I'm of Cipher system is the rule system that I played the most, where I don't roll as the GM. You're just setting difficulties basically in Cipher system. And I did really enjoy Cipher system. It's probably my favorite superhero campaign I've ever run was using Cipher. I did miss rolling a little bit, but I felt like for the tone of that campaign, which was Silver Age Supers, me not rolling helped facilitate that narrative, because it was less about chance. It wasn't like
Mm.
all this randomization. It was more about choice.
There is one more thing I'd like to throw in. So
Yeah.
you made a really great description of the game at first, but one thing that
Hmm.
was left out that's really important is players are also constantly set up for failure in NeuroShell. The
Right.
game is built around failure. So like you can upgrade your attributes, which are divided amongst the players, but players only know how upgraded their own attributes are, and individual player upgrades contribute towards what are drawbacks that
Yeah.
everyone is affected by. So players don't always know exactly what those drawbacks are, and they will always be in effect. There is no Goldilocks zone, but yeah. So whenever you're playing, you're always set up for failure, and that's just even though you don't get to roll as a game master, the mastermind. The one of the fun parts is seeing how the players are hurting themselves
Yeah, yeah.
constantly
You're ticking
with their decisions.
the is it the insight marks?
Yeah, so there's insight,
I'm,
which
I'm
is
trying to
like
remember
XP.
the terms. Get scrambled in my
Yeah,
brain
there's
sometimes.
category drawbacks is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they're
The
called.
category drawbacks. Yeah, and so yeah, as the players play, they don't necessarily grow stronger because it's not a story. It's these are contained stories, right?
Right,
You're not meant to play a 16 session epic, campaign. You're telling a couple sessions maybe, right? One
right.
to three, I think, is what we kind of talked about before.
Yeah, yeah. It's typically like 1 to 3, maybe 4. If there's sometimes there's a session where they do almost nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and you just kind of roll with it. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
telling a contained story with more of a distinct beginning and end as you unravel the mystery of yourself and the circumstances. Whether
right.
that's the gritty noir, like whether I woke up, my hands covered in blood. Who is this man I see in the mirror, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Look,
yeah.
or it's like what was or it turns out we're a baby or
Yeah, yeah.
something, right? Wandering around a house. It's just really funny stuff like that. Anyway, I'll stop gushing because I think it's really neat. Let's take a look at the book. Excuse me, and let's talk about some of the design elements of it and where you got some of your art. What is
If
NeuroShells?
if we do want to talk about the public domain and Creative Commons,
Mhm.
that is for the most part within one adventure.
Yeah,
So I don't know if maybe we can do a quick run through and then we'll just slow down once we get there.
yeah, because I want to show the all the art because you've done much of it yourself, or most. Well, you put this entirely together yourself
Yes.
and drawn some of the artwork yourself. Right, right. Oh, I got a question here. What is NeuroShell's approach to outcomes for failure? Outcomes. Oh, like does it? Excuse me. The way I understand it is, since it's not a game of like roll a skill check to attack the guy so much, you don't end up with this like, well, you failed, we stop the conversation. right? It's more about determining complication and is that kind of how you would describe
Yeah,
how failure works?
yeah. It's kind of like determining complication. It in the back of the book, I have a bunch of pages of elaborations,
Yeah, yeah.
which is it goes into kind of, these aren't rules, but these are tips you can use. And one of those does talk about using the drawbacks as narrative devices.
Hmm.
Um, so, even though somebody might fail a check, you don't have to totally punish them for it and ruin the game, but you can turn it into something like really funny,
Yeah,
right?
the no
Uh,
and no but kind of like improvisational structure there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there was one time when I was running a session and they were spying on somebody, on these two guys talking from a tree, and this is like some absurd sci-fi setting. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like some weird stuff going on. But anyway, they decided to like they had really high authority, and so they're really intimidating, and they're like, let's jump down there and like surprise them and try and scare them, but they failed the check horribly. And so I was like, okay, you jump down and you fall flat on your face, and then
Yeah, yeah.
kind
It
of
could be a slapstick moment, and then they're
yeah,
revealed, and yeah, because it's not like a combat simulator type of game. It is a improvisational storytelling structure, right? Like
right,
that's what you're telling is there's a mystery usually to be solved of some sort, right? And it's about finding out how these players reveal that or what they reveal, right, along the way.
yeah,
And that's what's freeing about doing a self-contained, like a contained story. Like you don't have to worry about the implications for, oh, if we do this at third level, how what is that going to mean when they're 12th level or something, right? In a larger game.
yeah,
Yeah. Whispering Wisp said, yeah, detours not stops is a good.
right. Oh, that's a good line.
That's a good line. Detours not
It is in
stops.
beta, so
Yeah, like
these things can change, the
yeah.
wordings and stuff.
No, that's a really good way to put it, Whispering Wind, and that's kind of what more. I'm going to use this term very loosely here, so don't jump on me, people in the video. Story games, which is a subgenre of tabletop role playing game, where the purpose is to construct a story together at the table rather than to simulate the adventures of this one character, like in a world. Like you're telling the story of Lord of the Rings. You're not simulating being Frodo. I get like, and then the other person's being Boromir, and the other person's being Aragorn, right? A story game is about we form a story. Anyway, it's getting into the nuance of that. But detours not stops is a hallmark of that structure. When in more, I'm using terms here loosely, like more combat focused games or violent focused games, failure can stop because you fail to accomplish something, and then the monster comes and bites you because you have a more strict turn based thing. Anyway, let's hop in. Let's hop into the book and let's show
Yeah.
it off a little bit because I know you worked very hard. Thousand-Year-Old Vampire is a good example as well, Whispering Wisp. So let's get the stream. So, of course, it's a really pretty book, what we're about to look at.
Thank you.
Let me get the zoom right on this. Let's see. So, because the game is very rules light and high on vibe, right? And the different vibes you wanted to accomplish, we're going to see a lot of variety here. So as we go through quickly, you just maybe point out, so like this cover, this was all you though, right? You were able to
Yeah.
draw that.
So this cover, like, okay, so here, let me give a little bit of background
Yeah, take
because
it
we're
away.
going to be going, like you said, we're going to be going through a lot of variety. Um, when I was creating Neuro Shell, of course, it was inspired by Disco Elysium, but at the same time, I was like, well, I don't want people to just think, oh, this is a game for running a Disco Elysium
Right,
story, right? Because
right.
like this system can be used for so many things, and that created this snowball effect of me making different adventures so that people can see the actual variety and how you can use this system. So the adventures try to be very different from each other, and to reflect that, I was like, well, the art has to be different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Each adventure should have its own style to really kind of sell that idea that each like what's going on is chaos, and that kind of also plays into what is going on in the head of the amnesiac. It is
yeah.
sporadic and divided, and there is so much variety. And so like immediate so what yeah, I decided the first page has to contrast the cover, right? It's like
Yeah.
immediately oh, this is not just this dark, moody stuff, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
not the
like
noir.
there's some crazy stuff happening.
The ceiling fan spun lazily above my head as I sat in my office, or something. You know, it's. I mean, I love noir, but it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be noir. And, you know, Disco Elysium is very brooding noir, but
right.
you know, when you told me about your game, I immediately started thinking about a Bizarro session. Like as soon as you told me the
Yeah.
premise, using a superhero right story with it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that this
But yeah,
first page. Yeah,
I
this is
did do
you.
the illustration on the cover in this first page. Most of what we're gonna see is stuff that I did entirely myself. Even stuff that I didn't do myself. I like even stuff I didn't originally use the subject, like
Hmm.
how it says, like I took an image, right, and then I
Yeah,
modified it.
yeah.
So everything has my hand in it.
100%. Yeah. And that's kind of
Yeah,
what I wanted to. That's why you're here almost, is that
yes,
people think, you know, oh, I'm going to use public domain art or I'm going to use stock art and it's going to look boring. It's going to look like everything else. But a
right,
lot of open licensed art, and there's a couple different varieties of that. So check the licensing on any website you go to. You can modify it, right? You're free to just mess with it. And sometimes all it takes is a little bit of recoloring, mirroring, just like mess with it a little bit, and you can often really bring something out. And so yeah, let's take a look through. We're gonna move a little quickly. We're not gonna read the rules, of course, because this isn't like a rules
right,
review. But check out the rules right online. Um,
yeah.
and
But you're using an older version, a little bit
yeah,
older, but it's okay.
yeah, you
You
have
have
one
all the
that's
art.
yeah, the one that I know you just updated it. I was
Yeah,
so this is like a day out of date at this point, I think.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, there's all the rules
Oh
right
yeah, so
there.
this is all the rules. This is these are two facing pages of A5. That's the whole game. As far as rules structure goes, the rest of this book is all guidance, examples, adventures, uh, note-taking sheets. Just it's support for that gameplay. But yeah,
Right.
this is it. Because I mean, yeah, I remember I ran the game when it was in trifold form. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ran one of the first somewhat stable
Yeah. Yeah.
versions
When it
of
was
the
actually
game.
a game. But yeah, and so even I'm just going to kind of point out the rules section here. So this is a lot of text, of course, but that's because it's all just on 2 pages, right? It's bolding where it needs to be, a little bit of coloration to make things stand out, and you don't have to be fancy to be clear, right? Like
Right.
when you're presenting your rules, it does. You know, if his rules pages looked like the the first uh, um, the first spread with all the
Opening.
clashing colors. Like I don't like the way Morkborg presents its rules because I find them hard to read. Because like I need the rules to be clear and separate from like the chaos sometimes. So I think it
Hmm.
was smart what you did, by the way. Is yeah, there's a lot of like we'll see some really splashy pages that are mostly about vibe and evocation, but like your rules are easy to read, so that's good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that was important. Like the rules have to be easy to read, and the reason they are like this is to kind of emphasize one page. That's it. This is all of it.
right,
Done.
right. Oh, and this is a good question from Whispering Wisp. And so he's asking, what inspired, guided the layout? Often that's artful to me too. Like, what were your layout inspirations for building this? And we're going to see there's some wildly different layouts in here.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of different layouts. So I'm gonna answer also
Oh, did I miss one?
Tundalus's question at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
go for it.
so my background is in architecture. I
Oh,
went
yeah.
to architecture school. I worked in the architecture industry. And so you're not necessarily trained in art in architecture. You are trained to present things clearly, though. The graphic design aspect of it was kind of my own choice. There's a lot of openings within the education and industry to teach yourself this sort of stuff. And aside from that, I had always liked drawing and illustrating even before going to school, but it really was an opportunity for me to take it to the next level. And then obviously, like, I could not have produced this while I was in school. I've been working on this for a while as well, like building my skills. But
Oh yeah, well, even
uh,
compared to when I first had your rough trifold, I can tell you've been leveling up your layout skills, right?
oh
Just
yeah,
between the last 2 years or roughly however long that's been. So yeah,
absolutely.
you just gotta. And I remember you'd always be on, like we'd be in Discord and you'd just be working on something. You're just trying to work
Always
on
grinding.
layout, always grinding on the layout, particularly on the layout because your rules
Right.
themselves are simple enough that you don't have to sit there and write 400 pages of content. And so you put a lot of energy into refining the presentation of the simple rules, which I think was a
Right.
good use of your time. But yeah, I know it wasn't easy. It just took time,
Hmm.
right? The grind.
Yeah. And one more thing is
Oh yeah.
what inspired the layout is sometimes it was the adventures themselves and the
Oh
content
yeah, we'll
within them,
definitely see that.
which we'll start to see.
Yeah. So once we get past, so the attributes, these are also your drawings, right? These are your
Yes,
I should say
these
illustrations.
are all
Drawings
my
is the technically wrong word. These are your
pretty much everything is
illustrations.
my illustrations until we get to Echoes of Amore.
Right, right. So these illustrations, there's actually only a little bit of rules on this page, but these are mostly just splashy ways to present the different aspects of your mind, right? Like that.
Right.
These are the attributes of that you
These
play
are the
with.
attributes. There are also attribute cards that come
Yeah,
with the game that you can use, and all of this information is on the cards as well. It's presented in a different way, but it's very similar.
yeah. On
Um,
the way that the way the players get built, because you don't have like a traditional character sheet. There's this deck,
you're right.
and you randomly assign parts of the psyche to every player. So one player each of them have a different mix, and you're all in control of those vectors of the mind. And so it's really funny. Like you get these weird mixes of people's personalities that they try to
Right.
role play. Because yeah, you're all one person. Yeah, these are really cool. And those, watching that, you can definitely see the Disco Elysium inspired artwork here, right?
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's the big
These were
touch
the
point.
first pieces of art that I made for the game,
Yeah,
and
they're awesome.
very directly inspired by Disco Elysium with these ones.
Yeah, well, and to talk a little bit about for those working on their games, like this art isn't complex. It's obviously very good, but what I
Oh
mean is
yeah.
like you don't have to include super high render detailed artwork in a rule book
Right. And in
necessarily.
fact, something you'll notice is I am not trained in human anatomy. So in
Yeah, it's fine.
a lot of the more complex parts of humans, I almost try to avoid. And
Yeah,
that kind of feeds into the abstract nature of it. Like you'll
yeah,
notice
it's
I almost
appropriate.
never draw eyes. I almost never draw fingers,
Smart.
except for this one.
Yeah,
This
here's the
one
one where there's
took me
hands.
longer than any of the others.
Yeah, and I bet did you put your own hand in there
Yeah,
to
I
use as a
actually did.
reference?
I
Yeah.
took photos of my own hands and kind of played around with that. But even doing that, it took me hours,
Oh yeah, I
hours.
bet. Well, and that's a good
But
point
you
to
can see
point
my
out really fast
yeah.
about making your own art. So you can take a picture of your hand, put it into Photoshop or something, and start drawing over it and make it look like art. Like you can do that. And a lot of
Right.
artists, most artists I've met, will often take pictures of their own body, like or hand or something, to use as a reference when they're working on something because you want to have a reference piece. Like I saw that Jeff Whitty is one of the artists on my game is in the chat right now, and he one of the pieces in my book. There's a severed hand item that you can buy the thief's hand, and it's his. He just drew his own hand, right? So that's great. But yeah, I think this is a smart way to look at artwork. So you look at big products like made by Paizo, uses Wayne Reynolds, or something made by Wizards of the Coast. You see these enormous pieces of artwork, but you don't. That's not the right visual choice for every game, and especially if you're trying to do something on a budget, or in this case, basically just all yourself. Like these are gorgeous layouts, right? You don't need like in my book, I have a bunch of high res art because that's what I want for certain sections of that book. But
Right.
you don't need that, right? You don't
Oh
need
yeah.
it.
I kind of
Um,
took advantage of the idea that this is sporadic stuff going on, right? Every adventure is an opportunity to change up the art style, and even
right.
if it's simple, it's okay because that is the style, right?
Yeah.
That is the style for that part. And we're going to
I've
see a great example of that in this first adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Just catching up on chat here. Oh, for Daniel says for oh hey Daniel. Yeah, for animation as well, right? Going back to the early days of animation, they would watch people in real life or record them in video and use them as reference. Right? Use real life. You don't have to conjure it all purely from your imagination. Oh, he cut off his own hand. Oh, Tundalus. Yeah, everyone is John. Yeah. Well, interestingly, Wiley said this at the very start. Wiley doesn't have a storied long background in tabletop role playing games
Oh, no.
at all. And so there was some convergent design with things like Thousand Year Old Vampire, Everyone is John. But this is mostly just conjured from his his own mind on this one.
Yeah, I actually purposefully isolated myself and tried not to look too much into RPGs because I was like, I feel like I like to come from a place of ignorance almost, and then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can fix it later. Um,
Yeah, well, and, yeah,
once
and
I
then you
learn
dove
more.
into more of the community afterward, right, and all that. But
Right.
well, yeah, when I had on, oh wow, blanking on their name, they created Enclave RPG. They also didn't have a lot of RPG experience before, and the value that that can bring is a fresh look, and then you can start looking at references and maybe tweak from there. But everybody's always like, you should go read 100 RPGs before you try to make one. It's like, or just
Yeah,
jump
no,
in,
I,
just
I
try.
don't
I mean,
totally agree with that,
like
but it's a valid approach.
yeah,
But
like
like,
if you're going to make a really big complex RPG, definitely try to read some precedents first
yeah,
because you will spend thousands of hours and trying to fix something that was already fixed. But with something like
mhm,
your game, it's lighter on the rules. It doesn't require as much precedence before you're
yeah,
400 pages in. Like I wouldn't have tried to make my own game, which the total rule book is about 400 pages, if I hadn't at least read like read
oh
some
yeah,
before. You know
yeah.
what I
I
mean?
mean, there's cases, of course.
Absolutely. And so we're in the adventure section. Yeah, the sword is rad, of course.
Yeah,
And
the
and
sword is so little preview. The sword is an amalgamation of all of the art styles I use throughout the book.
yeah, it's super
Um,
cool.
so there's a little bit of everything in this sword.
Yeah, and so was this is one you also just drew, probably from a reference.
So because so as we're gonna get to Echoes of Von Ray. In
Oh
Echoes of
yeah,
Von Ray, a lot of it is photos that either I took
gotcha.
or I used public domain or Creative Commons. So this sword hilt on this
Mm-hmm.
is a public domain piece from I don't remember what museum, but it's from a museum. Museums
Right.
are great resources for finding public domain imagery.
Yeah. Right. So you took a piece of that and then you drew on it, basically, right?
Yeah.
You took what you needed from it and then drew on it.
Mhm.
And so we have our first adventure. And so yeah, the vibe of this, adventure is setting a tone. But again, this is really awesome looking and immerses you. But like again, for people working on their own games, this isn't complex art, right? It's not hyper realistic. Doesn't need to be. Hyper realism is a design choice that you make for a game. But like simple black and white layouts. But this is extremely immersive. We then compare that to this is also very immersive.
Yeah.
The page after that, which looks like crayon, right?
Yeah, yeah. So to give a little bit of background, in this
Mm-hmm.
adventure, it starts off spooky, like you're in the cell within a castle. You have to escape into this forest, but you realize that the cell is actually your crib, and the castle is your bedroom, and you're a baby, and so that's why it looks like crayon drawing. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a very simple illustration, but I think it was the most effective kind of illustration that I could have done for this adventure. The crayons,
yeah,
it really is sort of playing into the whole concept that you are a baby.
right. And these little lettered blocks here for the little section titles,
Mm.
are those your drawings, your illustrations, or are these
No,
ones
no,
you
that's
found?
a font.
Oh, it's just a font. Oh, there you go. Right.
That's a font.
You just found a font. Perfect. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
That's efficient, right?
Mhm.
Find an existing font and boom. I forget what some of the adventures are, and then I crack up when I see them again. These artwork. So that first
Yeah,
one was
yeah.
one session. This one is 2 to 4 sessions. And what I
Right.
appreciate, since there's some of these splashes are really purposefully strange, you also just have like the regular text of what the adventure's called in the corner. Like that's a good
Yeah,
accessibility thing. Uh,
definitely.
yeah. How are we doing on time?
I also have a black and white version of the PDF, which you can
Oh,
get
nice.
because I know some people are sensitive to colors.
Yeah.
So um, there's that. There's also I am planning to have. I haven't made it yet, but I'm planning to have just a plain text Google document with everything that you
Nice.
can access because that just makes it even more readable.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I didn't want to sacrifice the art style, but at the
Yeah,
same time, I want it to be as accessible as possible.
absolutely. Well, and the vibe communication on a lot of these is part of the gameplay experience because you need to immerse in a
Right.
certain like subgenre. And like we said at the start, the rules themselves are just like 2 pages. So, uh, oh yeah, the goldfish one. This one is wild. I've not obviously played this one, but you've told me the premise, and
Hmm.
the genre evocations on it are great. But again, what we're seeing here is just picking a nice font, picking some cool colors, and honestly, you can Google contrasting and complementary color schemes, and just find those, right?
Yeah, actually, a good website for that, for anybody interested,
Mm-hmm.
is Adobe Color.
Mm,
They have a bunch of like color theory palettes. They also have a whole library of collections of palettes that people use for that are categorized by subjects. They even have tools for creating your own palettes based off color theory and images that you drop inside it.
right. But I'm going to actually pop this up on the screen really fast to show people what we're talking about. So, Adobe Color, it has these images because I was aware of this website, right? And don't overthink color. Find a palette and don't deviate from the palette if you don't know what you're doing, right? Like pick a
Yeah, if you don't
theme.
know you're doing this,
Yeah, yeah, like pick this theme and stick to it, right? And just use those. Get the hex codes for them and pop them into Affinity or wherever it is you're working, and your layout will look cohesive because the colors like it goes a long way. I'm really bad at doing this sort of thing, so I have to delegate it to others. But yeah, I think a lot of people get very intimidated because they don't know how to even start. So like just going to Adobe Color. You don't have to give Adobe money for this either. You could just browse it.
oh yeah, it's free.
Yeah, like
It's
you're not feeding Adobe necessarily if that's a concern by anybody in chat. But yeah, just pick a color scheme and then you stick to it. So and then knowing when to break from that comes later, right? That
right.
skill of creating an visual anachronism.
So yeah, this was the totally sick drawing to go here.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was placeholder art for an earlier version, but so many people told me
It's
you
great.
can't
A
replace
little taco
that.
and everything. Yeah. And this adventure's longer because this one's supposed to be 2 to 4 sessions, right? It says so at the
Right.
start. So there's more pages, but you could cram all this text into one page if you really had to. But where's
Yeah.
the fun in that, right? That's
Yeah.
part of the charm of a game like this, where what you're getting is evocation, right? Yeah, so that's really fun. Um, and then here's more data for it. How are we doing on time? We're doing great on time. So now we can kind of dig in. I want to kind of go to the echoes of, is it
Right.
Vamare? Am I?
Yeah. Echoes of Valmoray.
So this one is the long, yeah, 3 to 4 sessions. This one's more meaty. And you want to
Right.
give us and you have a pronunciation guide for it, Vamare.
Yeah. That was actually my brother's suggestion.
That's good. That's good. Vamare. So why don't you
Um,
pitch us, like, start us off here for what this adventure's like. Like, we can even start with what's this image that you used
right.
for it.
So this adventure is the adventure that was directly inspired by Disco Elysium. Uh, or more directly. There's a lot of changes I made. I
Yeah.
simplified the story just to make it fit better within Neuro Shell and tabletop RPGs generally. Um, so there's a lot of beats that have been changed, or a lot of concepts that have been changed, but beats are the same, um, similar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so this image for this was actually one of the last, or if not the last image that actually went into the book. It was just black before. I was like,
Mm.
that's boring.
Yeah, yeah. Just a matte black would be a little boring. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought but I still want it to be mostly black, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh well, this is a very dark, sad
Yeah.
adventure. Disco Elysium. So like a street light on a wet road would look
Mhm.
really good. And so I started looking up public domain images of that, and I was like, it is literally nighttime and
Yeah.
raining right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Nighttime raining and there's a street light outside.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went outside and I just put my phone on the ground and took a photo, and bam, easy. There it is.
That,
Anybody could do it.
yeah, and we're gonna see more examples of that. I think. Did we already pass the picture you took of like a post-it note? Was that
No, that's
that's
towards the
later?
end.
So yeah, if you can't find public domain, like yeah, just grab your phone. Our phones have more powerful cameras than they're so powerful. These phones, you just
Hmm.
you can just take a picture and play with a little filters on it or something, right? When you take the picture, if you need
Right.
to, and boom, you get this moody street light illuminated, slick, asphalt image. He just walked
Right.
outside and used his phone. And yeah, that's a great lesson to be learned there. Uh, just going on to the next page. Oh yeah, this is also it's very playing with the since this game is a lot about madness in a way or like unraveling of the mind. Playing with that is fun. And how about this
Exactly.
image?
Yeah, so the image is this is a Creative Commons image.
Okay,
It is referenced at the back of the book
right.
at the very last page. It's the difference between Creative Commons and public domain, for those who don't know, is Creative Commons is stuff you can use in some way. There are different kinds of Creative Commons, so just pay attention when you're looking at this
Yeah,
stuff. They will have different things that you are required to give credit to. So this was from a what was it? It was like we'll find it at the
yeah,
bottom,
yeah.
but
We
it
can
was
look at the
made
reference at the back if we need to, but
yeah, it was
yeah, it's
really high
public
quality.
domain.
It's just a buoy, picture of a buoy, and I inverted the colors. You could use so even like I know how to use Photoshop pretty fluently, but even somebody who has no experience, you can go on Canva, pretty sure,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like remove background, invert color, bam, you have exactly what I have.
Right, right. It didn't require advanced skills to create the sort of negative inverted version of the boot. You grabbed free public domain or Creative Commons artwork, toss it in a free program, hit invert, good to go, and it looks super
Yeah.
cool. Now, yeah, love it. Oh, this is the one that I was thinking of. This is the great example. The folio, the
Oh,
folder,
right.
with the brief and all that. So let's talk about this one. I
Yeah.
think this is another really good
So
example.
again, you could pretty much do this in Canva. There's one
Yeah.
thing that might be a little tricky, but you could pretty much do something like this in Canva because the photo itself of the folder, um, I took it.
Yeah, you
I
got out some printer paper.
yeah, I got us some printer paper with a little bit of texture. I slightly crumpled it,
Yeah.
put it in this folder, laid it out on the table, took a photo, and bam.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
I had so the photograph in the top corner.
Hmm.
It what the physical photograph is a photograph I had, but the picture inside it, the portrait, is a public domain piece from the U.S. government. Actually,
That's
it's
interesting.
from the Navy,
Yeah.
and so if you are a U.S. citizen, a lot of U.S. agencies, their imagery is public domain
It's
to
interesting.
U.S. citizens specifically. Um, so, like NASA, if you're creating a sci-fi, all of their imagery is public domain to U.S. citizens.
That's interesting.
So you can use that. And so I did actually, even though this is public domain, I did use a separate public domain image to swap out her eyes. So that's a little trickier.
Yeah,
But
that required a little bit more advanced skill, but that wouldn't be
yeah,
required to get this layout, right? Because
right.
the
And then I also put
photo
some
is
filters on it for grain and stuff like
yeah,
that,
yeah. Then
But
you can dress it up a bit, but a lot of that is also free programs can do a lot of that too. Even your phone
exactly.
can do that when you initially take a picture, and then you added text in post. right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you just
Text is all in the layout design.
yeah, you just pick a font, that looks like, because there's built-in fonts that look like this, and yeah, you just typed over a picture you took at your desk at home, and it looks
Exactly.
great, right, for this kind of thing. It looks really good.
Mhm.
And then here's the really impressive, right? This is the impressive piece. But again, tell us about how this was sourced. Yeah.
Yeah, so a this is th this one is a little tricky
Yeah.
for somebody who doesn't have a lot of Photoshop uh, technical know-how. The original photo is this giant map illustration of the city in, I forget what the city's called, but it's in Ukraine, and it was made in the 1700s. Um, and so it was really great, fit the vibe perfectly. It was because I wanted this like old map you could find of the city,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it was a little bit sprawling. So I used Photoshop to reduce the amount of buildings, uh,
Yeah,
and
you
kind
like
of
cut it.
bring
Yeah.
things in. Yeah, I cut it down, narrowed it
You can't
down,
even
so
tell
it
though. I
was
mean,
just more
like,
digestible.
it's kind of zoomed in a little
And
bit.
then the little seal in the corner was another like 1700s illustration from a map, like I think it was a Portuguese map of Japan.
Oh,
Um, that's where the seal came from.
yeah.
And then the tape with the writing, that's
Mhm.
my writing, right? Like I just took photos of the tape
Yeah,
and
you
my writing
literally
on it
put
and
tape
put it
out,
in there.
wrote on it, took a picture of it. I was going to ask about that because I didn't remember where the tape came from our previous chat. But yeah, like, that's nothing fancy there. You literally just get out some tape, get a
Yeah.
pen, take a picture of it, and remove background. And
Yeah,
you
and
have it.
I did use like a font on the tape at first.
Right.
Uh, and I was like, this doesn't look great. And then I found one, I was like, this one looks okay. And then one of my friends, he was watching me put it in there and he's like, I know that font. That's boring. Don't do that. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
but should I? And he's like, just use your own handwriting. At the time I was feeling lazy. I don't know. I was like, it was so much work. It took less than 10 minutes for
Yeah,
me to
yeah.
write these out and put them in there.
Yeah, it's you're searching for fonts for, like, I need to replicate a handwriting style for a couple key things, like how do I find the right font, or you could just write it, like,
Yeah.
especially if
Or
you
you
don't
could just
want it to
write
look
it.
like refined. Like, I don't know if Salty Nick was in here earlier, I thought, but like, he can do calligraphy. It doesn't need to be that fancy. It
It
doesn't need
doesn't.
to be that
And
fancy if you
you
don't
know, if
you know yeah,
if you're a detective putting pieces of tape on this like old map that you find, you're gonna write on it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
it's not
gonna
going to
be
be
handwriting.
fancy. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so this one is this is a little bit more advanced because the photo manipulation required additional skill. I hate how it's using AI to try to tell me what's in the map that I'm looking at whenever I leave my mouse idle. It's like, leave me alone. Anyway, this required a little bit more photo manipulation because the original was a larger piece. But again, it's just taking a public domain map, a public domain, what is this called, like, frame, and then pictures of tape at home,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Salty Nick is there. Yeah, prophecy. Yeah, it's like, yeah, AI, this is a map. Thanks, AI.
Yeah.
And I see mean question 365. Not a huge fan of the morkboard style, but counting on the page. Well, that's there's an interesting, this is a whole other subject that I find really interesting. So when it comes to large books where it is about rules content, um, I agree with you overall. Um, what we've been talking about with this one, I don't know if you were here from the start, is that this is like, this rule book is, the rules are like a trifold at most to play this game. The book is like an art book and a adventure inspiration book. Like, you're not buying it for text per se.
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting, like, ideology difference within tabletop role playing games that is a little bit too, like, involved, I think, for this limited stream. But it's an interesting subject for sure. Anyway, yeah, it's not that. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about accessibility earlier in the video, but like something that Wiley said is like you can also just get like he's working on like just the plain text version as well. Like you know, you can play the game without buying all the art, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is a plain text version that I'm working on, and it does come in a trifold. There's also like a black and white edition that I have that is, um, for people who are sensitive
Yeah.
to colors.
Yep. Or
And
colorblind
the
or
PDF is also interactive. So like if there's something in it, like in the table of contents, you can click it and it'll
right.
take you there. Or something in the rules, you can click on it, it'll take you to where it is.
Yeah.
It'll show you the elaborations.
Yeah, I get you.
So,
And there's a milestone play. Hey, buddy, by the way. The perfect usefulness of. Oh, it doesn't have to be perfect, just do it when it comes to props is an underestimated method. The bigger the TTRPG industry gets, the more people want Hollywood, but realism is messy. Yes, I think that's a really good point. It's that if you want. Perfection isn't always immersive, I think. I think the detail and messiness and rough edges I find more immersive than idealizations. But that's again an art theory sort of fascinating subject. So going to this newspaper style thing is very cool. This image
yeah.
probably also of the little
Oh yeah.
house.
So
Yeah.
all of the images in these two
Mm-hmm.
spreads, public domain.
Yeah, just public domain. You made a
Yeah.
black and white.
Public,
Yeah.
yep. I use the threshold, which is like it's only black and white. It's not grayscale. It is black and white.
Right.
So
Oh, I
black
can tell.
pixels
Right. That makes it
and transparent.
stark. Right. The
Yeah, and
heavier
that's very like
shadows.
newspapers. Newspapers just printed black, right? Like the old ones.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, public domain stuff, Creative Commons, and it looks like a newspaper, and all I had to do for that is 3 columns. Words go from like they spread the whole width of the
Yeah.
column.
Yeah.
And
Like
bam, it looks like a
newspaper
newspaper.
stuff.
Use Times New Roman.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't require a lot of overthinking. I guess you could say. It's like
Right.
just use the genre grab public domain stuff, set some color filters. Um, somebody has some specific questions. Any dithering on it or just maxing out the contrast?
So what I did do was before using the threshold, I did actually modify the colors a little bit so that the threshold would read a little bit better. So that's a little bit more technical,
Right,
but
that's
I
refining it.
probably could have gotten 90% of the way there just by using
Yeah.
threshold.
And somebody like me who doesn't have the keenest of eyes probably wouldn't, maybe not even known the difference, honestly, right? But
Right.
that's a good question, Prof, in there. And that's a good answer, Wiley. That to get 90% of the way there is not that hard, actually. Yeah, that remaining
Yeah.
10% that can make a difference. That's where that additional skill and practice comes in. But
Right.
yeah. Oh, and these are great too. So now we jump out of the
Oh, yeah,
adventure.
yeah.
So these sticky notes, are these just real sticky notes or are these ones you found on? Oh, these are the ones
I
right
have not
there.
taken it down. It
So
is still here.
it's a little bit off camera. I'm going to move your it's off camera for the
Oh yeah.
stream, but there's a whiteboard basically behind him that just has these sticky
Here.
notes and yeah, if you pull it behind you just a little bit. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, it's just he literally had sticky notes and he took pictures of
Yeah.
them and put them in the book. And
Yeah. And so like you can see some of them. Like I'll just take this.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't fit it all on the sticky note. I kind of messed
Right.
up. So I wrote it on another one and I just, Photoshop changed the sizes of some stuff a bit
Right,
further
right.
in
You can
there
fiddle
to
with
make
it
up
from
for it.
there.
I like couldn't fit. This is called the Drunken Christmas. I couldn't fit I
Yeah.
just couldn't fit Christmas. I put Christmas up there, cut it and paste it. But yeah, it's all literally just writing it on actual sticky notes on
And
an
and
actual whiteboard,
yeah, and
taking
even
photos of it.
this like sticky note adventures, all of this is just actually on the whiteboard, right? All of the text.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You just if you want it to
I
look
changed
like
the
it's
color.
yeah, yeah. If you want it to look like it's something written on a whiteboard with post-it notes on it, do that, and then take a picture of it, right? And that's the point of this spread is to show like you can just hop in right with a couple sticky notes and you're ready to go. And hey,
exactly.
there's mine.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
And I actually posted it on my Discord server. Something I'm doing is kind of in celebration of the beta launch. Um, I'm I'm telling the community, oh yeah, submit your ideas for sticky note adventures because we're gonna put a
Yeah.
lot of them in the book.
Yeah.
And if you get like, I don't know exactly how the selection process will go, probably community based, but maybe we can get we can get really cool ideas in there by just
Yeah.
reaching out to the community. Like we got yours, the bizarre
Yeah.
is what I called it because
Yeah. We can't call
copyright
it
gotta.
yeah, exactly. The inspiration is obvious. So we've
Yeah,
only got
exactly.
actually another 5 minutes, but what I want to mention just after all of the fun evocative art, there is more, I guess you could say, traditional guidance and rules at the end. These aren't um, rules, these are advice, how to run things, best
Right.
practices, right, for the mastermind. And then it does go into a quick example of play. So there are traditional, you know, GM guidance stuff kind of at the end, and I need to actually resize this so it shows up. But we talked about this
Right.
before, and I did want to mention very clearly that if you do use Creative Commons art, oh, it's resizing on its own. Do make sure that you follow whatever um, legal requirements there are, the attributions, and wherever you find that art, it will tell you what type of attribution it needs. So do be
Exactly.
careful doing that, as you want to credit the people who made that art, right, or where the source was from. And so we're running a little bit low on time now. It always flies by so fast. But for those that kind of came in late, I do recommend going to the start and rewatching this, because the point of this video is to show that you don't have to come from a strict artistic background and be able to do tons of illustrations yourself that are all super high detail and realistic to make a genuinely attractive product, right? Like, if you want very high res, super high detail, painted artwork for your game, totally legit, right? That will require you to pay somebody. But Wiley here, I mean, he spent money on post-it notes, tape,
Yeah.
maybe the whiteboard or something, right? That's kind of it. The rest of this were his illustrations. But even leaving aside his illustrations, the point is, which are good, of course, like this super evocative splash page for this noir adventure was him walking outside and taking a picture of the asphalt with his phone,
Yeah.
right?
And then this whole adventure, again, for those just joining, the whole adventure, this one, is yeah, just me taking photos of stuff and using public domain or Creative Commons, which came out of a conversation I had with someone who is using AI. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you can use Creative Commons and public domain and
Yeah,
still create good
it's
stuff. And he's
it's
like,
less
how do I,
expensive
like
even than using.
he's like, you can't really do that. There's so much limited stuff. And I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna put my money where my mouth
Yeah,
is,
I'll show him, right? But yeah, like, and I didn't qualify this at the start, but this isn't, none of this is AI art, right? This is Wiley
Oh yeah,
just kit
there's no AI.
bashing, and yeah, none of this is AI. He either illustrated himself, or yeah, you spent what, like $2 on a folder and a clip for the and put some printer
Not even.
paper
They
in
were
it,
just
right?
stuff I had lying
Yeah, stuff
around.
lying around your house, and it's immersive and it's effective for a game like this, for these sort of sections. But for any game, as long as you're not attempting to make something huge, this gets you so much of the way there. And I know I talk about this a lot in my server and in my videos, but when you're making a public beta, because this is a public beta, just to plug it one more time, you can take a look
Yeah.
at links down below in the description here to find your way to Wiley's content. That first impression is really big, and I too many times um, have I been sent a game. I get sent games moderately frequently, like, hey, can you check out my game in progress? And it is a word vomit of a Google Doc, right? Um, and yeah, that's great for rules, right? You got to store your rules somewhere. But lately on my channel, I'm trying to teach people about how to, like, get people to care about your game a little bit more, and putting in some effort to make like a splashy, punchy quick start packet or demo, right? with some cool artwork in it that you could do for free potentially, right? If you're doing medieval fantasy, go find some medieval artwork. You could just
Yeah.
get
Oh
it
my
for
gosh, that's one
free.
of the best cases.
Right? Medieval has so much, medieval through Renaissance, there's so much. Pop it into Canva, invert the colors or something, boom, right? You've got something that
Exactly.
looks
And it
good.
looks so authentic
It
too.
looks so good. And yeah, maybe your final product will have, you'll earn $1 million and you'll get super crazy high res art, sure. But the barrier has actually become quite low, or has been quite low for a long time, to get something that looks good. And again, without using AI to do it for you. You can just do this
Exactly.
yourself. And as a result of Wiley doing this himself, because I've watched Wiley grow as like a designer and such in the last 2 years. Like he's gotten better at it by actually working through it. And if you and that there's something to be said about that. Like now, if you were to make a
Mhm.
second game, and I happen to know that you are working on lots of things at once, like the skills carry over, and your next game is even easier to make from a design standpoint, right? Like so, there's a lot of value to that. A lot of value indeed. Sorry, I'm just going to catch up on chat here. I was pontificating. I got up on my soapbox for a moment.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
no, no, no.
yeah. Let's see. Um, yeah. So, oh yeah, and Tundless. Yeah, exactly. For a slimmer game where you have a lot of artwork and splashy, yeah, it's very easy to do so. But I would argue if you're working on a large game, like my game is large, right? It's a big book. It's like almost 400 pages. But were I to do a demo packet again, like if I didn't have, I spent a lot of money. Like that was not inexpensive putting together my quick start because I'd ordered so much art. And I didn't need to necessarily, like maybe just a couple pieces of art to show off a couple monsters, but to get people's attention, you got to start somewhere. And if you're going to crowdfund a game or try to get people interested, you can't just, like, unless you have the disposable income to pay like tens of
Ye-
thousands of dollars, because art is not cheap.
Yeah, it's not.
Right? Like, how are you going to make something attractive? Just a raw text doc ain't going to do it. Some people are talented and can draw themselves. I don't know if Ugly Goblin is still in the chat, but he and his partner, they are great illustrators. Like, and they do all their own illustrations. Like, she's an artist, he's an artist, and like their products, they work on it together. Not everybody has that skill set, right? But even without it, you can just find stuff out there. It's great. Or if you have a little bit of money, you could also buy art packs from fantasy illustrators. There's tons of that out there. So anyway, I'm trying to empower people right in the
Yeah,
chat,
yeah.
right? That's what we're here to do. And
That's what
this
we're here to do. I have a whole
exactly.
statement about it in the last page of the book under the
Oh, the references there at the end.
the
Yeah,
references. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's yeah. So that's kind of what this rant is about. Is that when people are making public facing documents, I do see some people who just toss some quick AI art on there, and it turns away a lot of people. And
Hmm.
when there's so much art out there for free, like again, we're talking free. It just takes a little bit of your
Three.
time, just a little bit of time to find it, download it, and maybe I don't know, like I said, invert the colors. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll be shocked at how cool stuff can look. I mean, especially if you're doing fantasy. There's so much art out there for the
Doing
medieval.
fantasy, if you're doing sci-fi,
So
those are
much.
genres with a lot of stuff available.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
for then down the road, maybe you for like a monster manual type product, yeah, maybe you need to pay an artist, right? Because you have really
Hmm.
weird, unique monsters. Like there isn't anything that I out there that's the blood oiler for my game, right? I needed somebody to draw that, but
Right.
I bet somebody could kit bash like some public domain zombie plus some public domain saw blades and
Oh
probably
yeah.
like you could do
Another
it.
great another great resource is like old Pulp Fiction covers. Those are there's so many old books with great artwork on them that
Right.
like, they're just public domain now. Um, so
Yeah.
for any genre really, oh yeah, and also like anything war based, just government photos of
Oh yeah. There's so much
military.
out there. And if just because we are technically a couple minutes over, these I always go over. It's just too fun to hang out and talk. If you do have questions about this process, right, Wiley's a really active member of my community, of the big design community, his own server, right? He's around, right? I mean,
I'm around.
I get so like I get so jealous. Like, what is it? Like little Kermit looking at the rain outside the window with the rain. Like I'm at my day job and like I see Wiley working on something in a server. I'm like, I want to go watch. Anyway, definitely talk to him. Join his server. You can find him if you're coming from my community. You can find him in our server as well. But yeah, we have a lot of experienced artists and all that. Like, ask. We're all happy to help guide you because y'all got to put some art in your public facing documents, like straight up. No more raw text files, guys.
Art is art is good. Art.
It's just that's the day we're living, the age we're living in now,
It
where
is.
the merits of the rules themselves aren't enough to get
Yeah.
attention, right?
It's kind of sad, but it's like that's just what it is.
Wiley has launched a YouTube, and there's a link to like your first video, a video for this game
Yeah.
down below. Oh yeah, Swords and Stones. By the way, I missed your message there. Yeah, that classic line art style is rad. I love that style. Just kind of pointing that. That's also when shopping for artists. Simple line work, if you're in the OSR space, is inexpensive. Also, in general, right? And it looks great.
Ooh.
Anyway, okay. Wiley, any last other comments you'd like to give? I feel like I've plugged plugged Neuro Shell a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at the
yeah. Buy
links
my
in the
game.
description. Go look at his game. There's free and paid like
Join the
access.
Discord.
Yeah, because this beta is like the complete game basically with art and
Yeah,
everything.
it is
Yeah,
completely runnable. But it is a beta. There might be some
yeah,
errors. Let me know if there are. If you buy it, then you'll get any subsequent updates, and there are plans for
yeah,
many updates.
yeah. When we say
So
beta, it's not like this is the game. It's just
early
it's early
access.
access. Yeah, it's an early access, but this is the game. It's just going to grow after this, right? If anything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very cool stuff, and I can say it is a pretty fun game. All right, y'all. Well, thank you, Wiley, so much. I know we've been talking a lot over the last couple of years, so it's great to actually have you on here and share some of this experiences you've been having in getting the game off the ground. And thank you all for hanging out and watching. We had a pretty active group. I hope you all had a good time. Click the links below. Come hang out with us in Discord as usual. And I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Thank you.